What's good, guys? Welcome to my podcast, Snack Thoughts. I say again, welcome to my podcast, Snack Thoughts. Everyone thinks the next major global conflict will be about oil, technology, or artificial intelligence. But by 2035, the thing likely to reshape your daily life isn't oil, it's water. And the reason why is a lot more uncomfortable than people realize. Water, it isn't just a resource, it's a requirement. You can substitute energy, you can innovate around different types of technology, but you can't substitute water. Water, it is something that is a must and a need for the survival of humanity, plant life, and also animals and insects and every bit of terrestrial life as we know it. And as access becomes uneven and power shifts quietly, not through war, not through headlines, but through everyday life. The topic that I title this episode, How Global Water Wars Will Reshape Everyday Life by 2035. Say it again, How Global Water Wars Will Reshape Everyday Life by 2035. Now, water, it isn't just a resource, it is a must and it is a requirement. You can substitute energy. You can even innovate around technology, but you can't substitute water. And as access becomes uneven and power shifts quietly, not through war headlines, but in our everyday lives, oh, you best believe, as water becomes a scarcity, you will begin to find nations competing for this valuable resource. Oil, yeah, it creates markets. Water creates leverage. Oil, it can be shipped, you can trade it, and you can even stockpile it. Water is local, time sensitive, infrastructure dependent. And if you have control of water, you have control of agriculture, population stability, and pricing power. Now you may ask, okay, it's obvious, it's common sense, but why would I say that? Well, without water, you cannot produce crops. You can't produce, plants, fruit. And to be honest with you, you can't even raise livestock without water because you have to give them feed, but they also they need water to survive. I believe our bodies are something like, what is it? Is it 90% or 90 or 85% water? And pretty much the same, for any other animal. But water is it's a key resource, that we need for sustainment. And I believe that in this particular time frame of advancement in technology and with the potential, for wars and conflicts to kick off, I really believe that many people in many nations, they have overlooked water as a valuable resource. They've concentrated, on oil, cash, digital currencies, artificial intelligence, but didn't think about water. You need it for population stability. Population stability of human beings. You need it for populations of animals, insects, plant life. Without it, pretty much your plant life, will dry up and basically die. Without it, human beings become dehydrated, and eventually we have like about what, maybe 7 days we can go without water. Other than that, our bodies begin to go through different changes. Dehydration, different types of shock. Muscle functions. Heart functions don't act right. Our sight. You know, yeah. Muscle twitching. All these different things. From something as simple. As water. And the entire earth needs it. The earth is made up mostly of water. Without it, basically, you can forget about, having fish. You won't have any sea life. So you need water in order to sustain life, in the sea, and, above it, on land. It's necessary, but I believe, in my opinion, that it is the one resource that, to a certain extent, it is being overlooked. What else? Pricing power. If water becomes scarce, you need it for dams. Without water, you can't even have electricity. You need hydro in order to generate, get them, for those generators to get those things powered up so that they can power up grids. It seems something so simple when you consider it, drop by drop. But when you begin to put water in terms of mass quantities, you begin to see the importance of it. It is an invaluable resource, and in the future, whoever has access, to this resource, they basically will be able to set a certain price on it. And I'm quite sure if someone probably thinking, well, wait a minute, if we have oceans and we have different lakes, blah, 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 et cetera, how can anybody, control that? Well, as crazy as this may sound, with these nations and these elites, they will find up a way to carve, of anything. I mean, look at what's happened, with the United States and Greenland. I mean, if you look at Greenland, and this is no offense, saying to anybody that is from Greenland and you guys, in Denmark and stuff like that. This is not an offense, but generally speaking, most people, and myself included, saying I'm aware, that Greenland, is valuable, but for many of us, we see it like somewhere out there, like Antarctica, out in Antarctica is cold, there's not much, out there, but nevertheless, it's extremely valuable. And the United States, I guess, from their perspective, they recognize, that they needed to go back into Greenland to give them a strategic advantage. But obviously there's other resources on it, but if you look at all the ice that it has there, that right there is water. So if you have the United States, going in, like I said, colonizing Venezuela, going after Greenland, and then you have China with their eyes on Taiwan, Putin dealing with Ukraine, these governments, just like the air, above us, which planes fly in, it's all, space above us. But yet and still, they have different zones, up in the air. So, if, say, if a plane, were to fly into the United States airspace, it has a certain location in which the United States considers it zoned off, even though up in the sky itself, it's not something that we can bag up or that we can put in our pockets. You can't store the sky. But nevertheless, nations have divided the sky up into different zones in airspace. And if anybody crosses into certain airspace, then any nation or country has the right to defend, its territory and to shoot those planes down if they enter its airspace, even though the sky itself, nobody really owns it. You see what I'm saying? So if they can do that with airspace, they will definitely do it, with the sea, which they already do. If you have certain ships, coming into United States waters or what they consider territory, and it's the same for any other nation. They have a right, to get on top, of that vessel or to blow it out the water if they consider it a threat. So they have what may be considered intangible, what you can't grab, but nevertheless they have it zoned off, basically like real estate. And how would I know this? I myself, it was a lot of years ago. I had a special duty assignment, and I was working at this map depot, and I was in charge of the classified, area of these particular maps, and like I said in prior videos in my military experience, I got to see everything. I saw every chart you could think of, from aeronautical, hydro for your water, land evac charts, city graphics, everything, for your sky. I mean, I saw it all, and I got to see, what how our government, has or views the world, as it's divided in different graphics and territories, which every government has it, but obviously your major nations, that are first world and that have sophisticated technology, they definitely, all governments have it. Don't get it twisted. They all have it, but your major players that have major militaries and they're first world, they have the funds and the technology, so therefore they have sophisticated equipment with which that they can take different pictures, develop different graphics. I mean, like I said, just with the U.S. government alone, they got the AWACS, system, which is it's an aircraft that flies up way up in the air. Some is high, even further than 30,000 feet, and it from that distance can take a picture of you in your apartment, fully clothed, and could take a photo of what type of underwear you're wearing. That's how sophisticated this technology is, and with the advent of artificial intelligence, it's only going to become more sophisticated. So I put that caveat in there just to give you an example of what I'm talking about and how valuable resources are. The intangibles that we can't touch. You can't drill for the sky. You can't drill the sky. It's not something that you could put, in your pocket, and that part is gone. But yet and still, nations have found a way to divide that part of the earth up. And the same thing with the water. You can't necessarily, you can't put the Pacific Ocean, in a tank. You can't take it with you, or the Atlantic Ocean, or the Indian Ocean, those masses of water, and the same thing with lakes, or where you have rivers and stuff like that, they are there. But nevertheless, countries have divided the earth up to include airspace and hydrospace. They've divided it up. So once you cross a certain line of zone, you are entering their territory. So whoever, gets a grip, on the water supply, however they're going to divide this up, they have the ability, to price it because people are going to need it. You know what I'm saying? Now, it doesn't seem like yet like it makes sense. Like, okay, if they have access, everybody's supposed to have access to these different oceans, which you're right. You have many different nations, that are in certain different parts of the world. And granted, the oceans obviously is salt water, but push come to shove, if they needed to desalinate, that particular water through a process so they can purify it and make it drinkable and potable or usable, believe me, they will do it. So don't put anything past a government, and rich elites. I'm telling you, if they're buying up all this farmland, certain individuals, I won't call any names, but if they're buying up, you got certain people that are buying up all this different farmland, and they got livestock, but they don't want, the rest of us, being able to eat meat. Yet and still, they got all types of, livestock so that they and their family and their friends, can eat meat, but then they want to decide what we can. So don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen, that they would not be able to find a way to divide up the resources of water and then try to, overprice, and even try to price some people out the game. But definitely I would be ready for that. You know what I'm saying? And when I think about it, it's like, okay, oil shocks, okay, they do cause recessions, you know what I'm saying? But a water shock, causes migration. People can live without oil, but they cannot live without water. And granted, oil is necessary, but if we had to go back, and back in civilization, if we could not use use oil, to heat or either to create gas, all that stuff like that, without water, if you don't have enough of it, you can't walk. Even if you don't have oil, you can still, get you some logs and you can start a fire. If you need heat, but water, is something that's necessary because water is something that the body needs. The body does not need oil. Big difference. So people are going to always migrate to the needed and required resources. Human beings, that's human nature. They will always do that. Now, what are some things I would think some examples? River systems, shared by multiple countries, which I talked about with oceans, dams upstream versus cities downstream. You need water to run your dams to generate power. Groundwater depletion that nobody can see. Stuff that we are not paying attention to. Most water conflicts, they won't start with tanks. They start with permits, restrictions, and temporary policies that never go away. And that's real talk. These aren't failures of nature. They're management and power decisions. Or even you could say mismanagement. And the elite being who they are, many times the elite, unfortunately, some of them, they get greedy. Let's be real, man. That's I guess you could say maybe that's one way that they stay in power. They got to get the upper hand and hog the resources, and then they decide, to how to divvy it out and how much it's going to cost. Excuse me. Yeah. Water pricing, that fluctuates like energy prices. If they can find a way to get their hands on it and monopolize it, trust me, they will definitely adjust the prices on it. You know, um, what are some of the things they might come up with? Restrictions on lawns, on farming, development. You know, then you could run into problems. You know, what I'm saying with cities versus rural tension because one area is short of water supply, and you go short. You know, what I'm saying rurally or in any major city. You know, or any city, whether it's big or small, you're gonna have a problem. You know, saying both places, need water. You know, saying obviously cities are going to carry a mass amount of people in a shorter capita per space. So you definitely, if you have more people, you need more resources. And even in the rural areas, you need water. Say it is essential. For survival. You know, what are some of the things that can happen? If they as they begin to um, move in on the resources of water, you're gonna have insurance companies tying into this, mortgages tying into water access, or you can best believe they're gonna gang up to get their dibs. You know, um, migration will be driven by livability. You know what I'm saying? Not war. You will you will force people, to move, in order to get to this resource. You know, and if the elites, they get a hold of it, then it's going to be about control. If you think it's bad, with artificial intelligence and what, the digitization of everything, and they want control that way, they're going to go after the water. Eventually, it's coming. In the future, people they won't ask, is there a job there? They'll be asking, is there water there? For and needed for their survival. Now, um, you know, what are some of the things I can think of? You know what I'm saying? Power. Um, Power always moves towards water-rich regions. Um, Infrastructure controllers, policy settlers. I mean, come on, guys. Think about it. Take a look around you and see how everything is set up. See how your elites and these corporations, what resources they always make sure that they're close by and they're surrounded by. I'm telling you, man, these elites and people in power, they slick. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times the control, it don't always look aggressive. It looks bureaucratic. So they set up, laws, saying policies, and they use different type of corporations, insurances, you know what I'm saying, with mortgages, banks, and stuff like that, man. And through politicians, they lobby, to get things set up a certain way so that it favors them. And like I said, this is in every nation. This ain't nothing new. The most powerful decisions won't be made on battlefields. They'll be made in planning meetings most people never hear about. The meetings that you don't see behind closed doors, but yet and still they come out with the most powerful decisions that affect the world. It affects economies. It affects societies, and it affects people's everyday lives. What you don't see. These decisions. That they make when they have these World Economic Forums. Davos. You know what I'm saying? UN meetings or even the secret meetings. In Germany. Saying in San Francisco. Secret societies. Come on, y'all. I ain't making this up. But yeah, it's real talk, man. Um, what makes water different is that everyone needs it every single day, and there's no workaround. You're not gonna get around it. That means future conflict won't always look violent. It'll come in the form of administrative. And, by the time people realize, what changed, the rules will already be in place. So basically, as usual, they seek to get the drop on us. They make these decisions, which they're starting to do now. And then they tell us after the fact. We're the last to find out. But it is something to think about. you know. But anyway, to come to a close on this, the real question isn't whether water wars are coming. It's who gets to decide access and who doesn't. And that decision is already being made. So, just something, guys. I would like to hear your thoughts on this. If you want more breakdowns like this, calm, honest, and uncomfortable, you guys know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Leave it in the comment section. Hit me up. Share your thoughts. I'd like to hear. And the name of this podcast is Snacks Thoughts. SNAKZ THOUGHTS. And you can find this podcast on Spotify, Spreaker, Radio PBM, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and a host of other social media outlets. So join me, guys. Join Snacks Thoughts. Check me out. And also, I have a YouTube channel, Eric Broadus YouTube, ERICBROADUS. YouTube. And so go over to my YouTube channel. Smash the bell to turn on. Smash the bell to become a subscriber. Turn on all notifications. Hit the hype button. To hype the videos. Hit the like and unlike button to like and unlike the videos. Either way, leave a comment over there. Love to hear your thoughts, like to dialogue with you. And also I have a Rumble. I'm on Rumble. Snacks123 SNAKZ123 on Rumble. So go over there, subscribe to me on Rumble, follow me over there. Leave a comment. Love to dialogue with you. Hit the like or unlike button. And push it out. And also, lastly, I have the 5 best weight loss products. Health and nutrition. And if you want to lose weight, trim body fat, lean out, get your health right, I recommend click on the link, purchase the products and share it with others so they can take care of themselves also. Next to God, the next best thing that you have is your health, guys. You get one body, you get one life. Take care of it, and your body will take care of you. But this is something, guys, that is coming in the future. So I would recommend make preparations, so that you don't get caught out there. You know what I'm saying? I know we can't control everything, but what we can do is do what we can. Do what it is that you can. But I'm telling you, it's about to get funky, man. And anything that they can pull to try to gain control, you can best believe they will do it. But that's all I have, on this one, guys. And again, 2035, man. 2035. You're gonna see. It definitely will be, water wars, man. Water wars, what I'm saying? The global water wars, it's going to reshape everyday life by 2035. Mark my words on that one. And it may seem like it's not believable, but come on. Look at everything that's happening now. We never thought we'd be seeing things as crazy as they are now and happening as fast as it is. 2035 is not long, guys. That's not long. You know what I'm saying? So do your best to prepare. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, share it. You know what I'm saying? Share this. Snacks Thoughts podcast. Eric Broadus YouTube channel. Snacks123 on Rumble. And the 5 best weight loss products. Share them, guys. Push them out. Share them with friends, family, frenemies, enemies, rats, dogs, bats, goats, cats, whatever. Share it. Push it out. All right, guys. Catch you on the next one. And I will be back, with some more content. You know what I'm saying? Dig it, guys.